And now a word from our dear and sincere Steam reviewers. Binary Split does not like the game. He had 0.7 hours on his record and he posted this negative review on August 3rd, 2016. From the outset, it's clear that this is a very deep and interesting game. But 30 minutes in, and I'm just sick of the awkwardness of the controls and dialogue system. I've missed too much dialogue due to either pressing the wrong key. There's 2 different keys for different types of basic interactions. Pressing the advanced dialogue key, hoping that it would show the text faster. It's really slow. It only shows you like 5 words at a time. Or walking off the screen just as dialogue starts, causing the whole conversation to be skipped. Also, your flashlight turns off at every scene transition. This happens a lot. The game is mostly set in the dark. Your character can't sprint for very long. You have very little time for exploration each night. Lots of annoyances add up quickly. I wouldn't recommend this game because of the controls, dialogue issues, and other annoyances. But I recommend watching this developer because it's clear they can make great things. Very interesting, Binary Split. Very interesting. I like how you contradict yourself at the end. It's very classy. Very cliche. Let's quick review Uncanny Valley, a side-scrolling pixel art survival horror game made by Cowardly Creations that was released on Steam in April of 2016. On its Steam page, it boasts puzzle solving and action with a lot of optional story content. Uncanny Valley is a lot of things, but not a lot of it is boast-worthy. What the game does well, it does well enough, and where it fails as a whole shines on you as you play through the game. First off, there is a story to consider, but after the first 20 minutes of gameplay, you are either confused or you're trying to get your money back. In Uncanny Valley, we play as Tom, who gets a job at a complex in the middle of the woods. You start the game with top-notch cliché action as you wake up in an alley and don't know where you are. After wandering around and solving a few puzzles, you find out it's all a dream and you are actually on your way to your new job. From there, the story just kind of rinses and repeats itself as you meet a few new faces and have a few more dreams as you go about your job. You eventually uncover a sinister force that lurks at the complex. There are many points in the game where you can branch off in the story and have a different ending depending on certain actions and choices that the game gives you no hint of. The problem here is you've got a side-scrolling walking simulator, though time progresses in-game as you play, so eventually your shift will start and end, and not getting all the way back to your apartment in time will cause you to pass out and wake up in a dream or in reality. Doing this can also alter the story in certain ways, but it takes someone without a guide some time to figure it out. Now I want to talk about Uncanny Valley's controls and movements and its UI. So it's a side-scroller, so controls are as basic as it gets. And as you play, you will wonder why you seem to run fast, but go so slow at the same time. It's a very weird sensation, and it gets old really quick. There's a basic inventory that serves as your bag, like in a generic point-and-click adventure. It's nothing special, and the game would have been the same with or without it the way it is. The action that they boast on their Steam page description consists of running away from godlike threats and shooting a gun with very limited ammo, which serves as a puzzle and story progression problem more than anything. There's really not much else to say in this department, which is a good and bad thing. Graphically, I was happy with the art style, and I approved wholeheartedly. The scenery is pleasant and nicely detailed in certain areas. Animations are smooth, and seeing a man twitching and bleeding in pixel form had never looked so good. I did wish for more lighting effects and magic as I was progressing through the game, but that didn't really impact my overall opinion on graphics as a whole. Visually, this game does what it needs to do with the mysterious, spooky aesthetic it wants to go for, only while holding hands with a wonky, confusing story and an unimaginative puzzle inventory system. The music and sound effects are actually another thing this game does well. From the intro music to the growls and screams of enemies and their victims, it does the job as a horror soundscape that immerses you just that little bit more to bring the horror together. Unfortunately, this is one of those categories of review that will never make a great game if everything else is just subpar. You can make a great leg prosthetic for an amputee so they can walk, but at the end of the day, they are still an amputee. Cowardly Creations tries to take on survival horror with a side-scrolling puzzle game that ultimately falls flat on its face, and then that face wrenches itself up to look at the pretty pixels. Uncanny Valley made me want more places to explore, and when I found out I would be in the same 20 or so screens for the rest of the game, it made me depressed, and that certainly did not motivate me to want to play again after my first playthrough. This game is beautifully done visually, but could have used more depth in certain areas, especially since those certain areas were the ones you had to look at over and over and over. I'd recommend Uncanny Valley to someone who wants to burn some pocket change and time. Otherwise, skip over this one and waste your time with something else.